another video lecture, and today we are going to discuss the tools for measuring kinetic quantities. Majorly, measuring the kinetic quantities is very important content. Okay, the equipments you use for studying both the muscle forces or the forces, those are generated on your feet, basically in during the gait cycles or other activities. But before starting the lecture, I can just give you a little bit of overview that basically we have introduced a WhatsApp channel and other on the Instagram page and Facebook groups. We are going to share some PDFs related to the lecture every day, so you can go there and check out the latest lecture PDFs. So basically, these are to the point PDFs related to this and important point content related to this these lectures that are extracted from your books. So majorly, you can just go there and check that out. So majorly, the links are available in the description or in the basically Instagram page as well. So you can go there and ask, and in the on the Instagram page, you can just DM us, so we can just share all the details of those. So tools for measuring kinetic quantities. Basically, tools for measuring kinetic quantities is a very important topic related to biomechanics, especially when you are going to discuss the kinetic quantities. Okay, so EMG is a basically we are going to discuss two major things, okay, today. EMG and dynamography. That means electromyography, and second one is dynamography. Majorly, if I can tell you, the biomechanics researchers majorly use the muscle forces and ground reaction forces to combine that effect. So to understand this, it is very important to understand these. Okay, like what kind of forces generated during walking, running, jumping, or even simple activities. Okay, so this is very important and main tools to use. So the EMG basically is used to study the muscle activity, and dynamography, that means force and pressure platforms to study basically ground reaction forces. We can just discuss later on both in detail. Okay, so electromyography, EMG. Basically, Luigi Galvani, 18th century scientist, discovered that muscle contracts when given an electrical stimulus. Okay, so that means muscle contraction means muscles can develop its self tension when you can give any kind of electrical stimulus. So that's why we are using many kind of currents in physical therapy, different kind of modalities and other things as well. So electromyography is same like that. It is basically the tool to measure the muscle activity. So muscles, the first one is muscle contraction when given a stimulus. First discovery of Galvani is this. Second is muscles produce a small electrical current when they contract. That means when they itself contract, it can produce some kind of current in their own way naturally through nerve impulses. Okay, so it is very important concept that muscle itself can make some kind of small kind of electrical current when they contract. So both are interlinked. Electrical stimulus can contract muscle, and contract muscles can generate itself electrical current. So this is basically the concept of Galvani. So this was the basics of electromyography. So the definition of electromyography is majorly the process of recording the electrical activity produced by a muscle when it contracts. Simple is that when electrical activity that is occurring in your muscle when it contracts, we can just record that. Okay, itself. Okay, we can just record like what kind of activity is present and what kind of activity is produced in your muscle, and we can just take a recording of that. Okay, so majorly uses of this is basically, as we have discussed, to identify which muscles are active during a movement. Second one was how much tension is produced by the muscle or any muscle group as well. So, first one, which muscles are active during the movement? Okay, we can just perform flexion and we don't know that what muscles are involved in this, so we can just check out through a EMG that in flexion we have, like, as you know, the shoulder flexion, you have the anterior deltoids as well, you have multiple other muscles as well, but majorly anterior deltoid is performing the basically shoulder flexion. Same like that, you can just perform the elbow flexion and you can just say that the bicep bicep brachii is involving in your elbow flexion. Okay, so if you can extend that triceps brachii, your triceps is involved in that. So this is basically you can identify which muscles are active during a movement. First thing, it is very important like how much tension is produced by a muscle or muscle group, so EMG shows us that as well. Third one, clinically needs to check like nerve conduction velocity, like how fast the signals travels in nerves. It is very important to understand like how fast the signals travel in your nerves. So this is basically called as nerve conduction velocity. So clinically used to check that as well, because you need to check how your nerves are going to work. Same like that, any of the muscle response in your muscular disorders, you can just go and check for that. Research used to study basically motor neurons and their response to brain commands. It is basically used, and as a researchers basically use this EMG to study motor neurons. At the same time, how the brain commands to that response is basically identified by the electromyography. So these are the basically basic uses. So I can just share the PDF on the WhatsApp channel or other than that, I am going to share the Facebook group and Instagram page, so you can just go there and see. Okay, electromyography, basically like how EMG works, we are going to discuss this now. Okay, so how EMG works is basically use of electrodes, that we the same electrodes we are going to use for TENS or other modalities. Same like that, there are some kind of electrodes that are present for EMG, also called as transducers as well. They are similar to that, but of course they are used for EMG. So uses electrodes to pick up the muscle signals majorly. We can just pick the muscle signals through the electrodes. Now the type of electrodes, there are two types. Okay, I can just pull it down so you can just see here. Okay, here it is basically written. So electrodes, there are two types of electrodes, surface electrodes, and the second one is the fine wire electrodes. Surface electrodes are basically the small discs placed on the skin. They pick up activity of the whole muscle group. Okay, so that means they are going to pick the activity of the complete muscles of that area. Okay, so that means if I can place the electrode in your arm region, so they cannot just pick the signals of biceps brachii. They can at the same time they are going to pick up what coracobrachialis, brachialis, and other muscles. Those are present there, so they can pick up the activity of the whole muscle groups of that area. Okay, surface electrodes are like that. Fine wire electrodes are inserted inside the muscles. They record very specific and the local activity of that specific muscle. Okay, so they are inserted in the muscle and basically record the specific local activity, specific or local activity. So the signals are amplified, displayed on the screen, and stored in the computer for further analysis. Simple as that. We are going to discuss EMG in detail in a separate lecture in a more detail. Okay, so this is just related to the topic that is present in your book, but we can just discuss the detail of EMG in a separate lecture in a more detail, so you can understand what is EMG and how it works. Okay, Like EMG basically like that, like imagine asking a patient to bend their elbow first, or for EMG can shows which muscles, like as we have discussed, the biceps are active at that time. So how they strongly contract, whether other muscles like triceps are silent or resisting. But as you know that at that time, you know that the biceps is working or active. So that means the biceps is the major muscle that contracts at the time, but other muscles like triceps are majorly silent, no work, or some kind of assistance is giving with the help of some kind of assistance is giving through triceps as well. Okay, the second topic of today is dynamography. Okay, we can just scroll it down so you can see how the complete topic. Okay, dynamography is majorly, you can just highlight first so after that we are going to discuss. Okay, dynamography is majorly क्या है? Okay, the definition of dynamography is basically the measurement of forces and pressure on the plantar surface of the foot. Okay, majorly using the platforms or portable systems. So it is basically some kind of advanced system. Okay, so we can just use that for many of the things like gait researches on the walking patterns or running patterns, same like that. Also used to study like jump takes off, landings, balance control, sports movements in like golf swings, baseball swings, these kind of sports we can use this dynamography. But it is basically the advanced system or advanced portable system, so it might not be present in every area or every setups. So but it is basically very important tool to measure the forces and pressure on the plantar surface of the foot. Okay, as you know, the dorsal surface is present on the back of the foot or on the plantar surfaces, you know that. These are basically the pressures or forces are very, very, very much more than all the parts of your body. So this is basically we can use to understand like how these movements are going to perform. Okay, types of system. Types of systems are majorly the force platform, pressure platforms, and portable system. As we have, as I am told you, I have told you before. So force platforms are built into a floor and connected to a computer, measure ground reaction forces in vertical direction, side to side, same like that, lateral, forward, backward, like anterior, posterior. So these are basically, they are going to measure this. Very accurate but limited to laboratory use. Okay, pressure platforms provides maps like digital or graphical, like showing the pressure distribution across the sole of the foot, as we know that the back or the dorsal, or you can just say that the area of the foot. Sole is basically what is that is uh, connected to your the ground of, or you can just say that the area of the foot that is connect more in a connection with the earth or ground. Okay, portable system includes the instrumented shoes majorly. Okay, portable systems are very easy to use, like instruments, an instrumented shoe inserts, thin sensors attached to the foot, and it can be used outside the lab as well, and it is very, very, very practical. Okay, but the major limitation is basically it gives a less accurate results compared to the first platform. But the accuracy is okay with that, but it is less accurate than the first platforms. But it can be used in many areas as well. So, if you want to study how much force an athlete generates while sprinting, or how pressure shifts into a flat footed patient while walking, dynamography is the tool you would use. So, it is very important. EMG studies the electrical activity of the muscle, dynamography measures the ground reaction forces and the plantar pressures. Together, these tools give us a complete picture of how muscles and forces work during the human movement. So these are very important to understand these both of the tools, and we are going to discuss those in a detailed lectures as well. So thanks for watching. If you have any query, you can ask, and this is all for today. And at the same time, I am telling you again that I am sharing the PDF of this lecture in a WhatsApp group with the important points in a WhatsApp group and a Facebook and Instagram page as well. So thanks for watching. If you have any query, you can ask. And this is all for today. Bye bye.